A new DOJ indictment alleges that RT employees covertly funded and directed a U.S. company with $10 million in order to push pro-Russia content. This company is based in Tennessee. There is one media company based in Tennessee with the same phrase listed in the indictment. U.S. Company One describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, and that is Tenet Media, a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Lauren Southern, Tim Pool, Taylor Hanson, Matt Christensen, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson. Yeah, Tenet Media. So wait, how is this them investigating Tim Pool? It's them investigating Tenet Media. But it's not a surprise, like I've said many times before. You know, Russia is kind of, in a way, to an extent which is disproportionate to the amount of money that country has, the GDP that country has. Russia is kind of like a hub of far-right media and political influence for the entire world, you know? There's a reason why basically every far-right person adopts very suspiciously similar language with regards to Russia and Ukraine, and Russia being like a safe haven against Western degeneracy and progressivism. And it's not because they're given like a template. They're not all top-down ordered soldiers. They're not aware necessarily of this. It's just that, you know, Russian oligarchs and the Kremlin broadly have invested an ungodly amount of time, energy, effort, money, and intelligence work into manipulating the global narrative. It's pretty common for countries like that, authoritarian petrostates. Saudi Arabia does the same thing when it comes to manipulating the price of gas or attempting to manipulate countries into continual dependency on the oil they provide. It's known to be a thing. Tim did recently explicitly repeat Russian war propaganda, which makes you wonder how aware or unaware they are. It could be that they're just stupidly regurgitating the stuff that is often said in their space. It could be that they are, you know, given a script to read. It's hard to say. Remember when Elon Musk met with Putin and afterwards he referred to Ukraine being made independent as like Khrushchev's mistake or something like that, which is a phrase that only a Russian would ever use. There are a lot of media and political accounts that are clearly bought or operated by, or at least funded by, foreign powers. And you see this crop up from time to time in terms of like, oh, this big meme account that was like posting for Trump memes. Yeah, it turns out this is being run by like, you know, some basement dwelling quit in Moscow. It's you have no idea. Anyway, for 10 million, this channel is not getting the numbers that you would expect, considering their cultural pull. I mean, Tim Pool getting 2.8 thousand views in a video? What are you doing? What are you doing? Was Israel a mistake? From Tim Pool. And we got Nazis here on the cover. Is Milo Yiannopoulos in this call? Yep, there he is. Open Nazi, Milo Yiannopoulos. I shouldn't say open Nazi. Barely covert Nazi. Propagandists use Tennessee content company to push disinfo. I think the more interesting story here isn't like Tim Pool is bought or whatever. Tim Pool makes his own damn money. I think the more interesting story is that this is the kind of content that Russia wants Westerners to be consuming explicitly. Far-right, reactionary, borderline neo-Nazi content. This is it. They would not invest $10 million into this channel if this channel was not producing messaging that they weren't fond of. One thing I am curious about is what the sell is to people like Tim Pool or Taylor Hanson or whatever. Why are they making content for this channel when the channel pulls no views? You know? Like, they're getting paid for it. They're getting paid to make these videos. It makes me wonder how aware they are of that. Probably pretty aware, I'd imagine. They got to have a lot of money to buy people like Tim Pool, again, who has quite a lot. Benny Johnson, less so. Lauren Southern, less so. So I guess we could see this as more or less like an official endorsement of the kinds of talking points that Russia is interested in selling to Westerners, which isn't a huge surprise because it's basically what the Kremlin already says themselves directly. AI Joe Biden drops out. Was he actually a deepfake? Did she deceive us all along, unmasking the real Kamala Harris? Cori Bush ousted. That's true. That's unfortunate. Was Israel a mistake? Gay trans man doesn't want to lose abortion rights. Oh, yeah, I remember that, King. Do you think there's also a push from Kremlin for tanky stuff? Yeah, but like you've probably noticed there's actually basically no conflict between the MAGA communist crowd and the MAGA crowd. And that's because the MAGA communist crowd, or I guess like the broader tanky, my main political opinion is that Assad and Putin are should be valorized and are unfairly condemned by the global West. Those people never go after the right wing, ever, ever, ever. They just don't. They don't care to. And that's because they are right-wing, They're just right-wing with a different aesthetic. If you go to Russia and you poll around and you ask how many of them wish the Soviet Union would return, you'd get a lot of people who wanted to come back. But a lot of those people would also want the Russian Empire to come back. They don't want the Soviet Union because they think it's communist. It wasn't communist, but they don't think it was communist either. They just want national power. And the Soviet Union, well, that was a time of relative great power and prosperity for Russian people. They think the same thing about the Russian Empire that a lot of MAGA types do about the good old days, the 1950s or whatever else, or Jim Crow laws. It's just a way of hearkening to a semi-imagined reactionary authoritarian past. That's it, If you go to Russia, the pro-Soviet Union people are in a lot of cases the ones who are now supporting Putin. Here's an example of that from the other end. I think I remember this. Yeah. The kind of things Russia wants you hearing and seeing. And by the way, I want to make this clear. None of this is like a Russia problem. Russia is just one of the foremost disseminators of the far-right ideology, right? Like if you somehow magically made Russia not like this, you wouldn't get rid of the far right, Why did he say it British? I don't know. That kind of took over me there. That wasn't intentional. This is just from yesterday. I saw people talking about it. Activists charged with pushing Russian propaganda go on trial in Florida. Whoa, hands off Uhuru. Omali Yeshitela is one of 4 Americans who have pleaded not guilty to conspiring on behalf of Russia. We're just a vehicle that's being used to assault free speech. What is the full claim here? Russia established a long-term relationship through a sympathetic group in the U.S. through calls, email, and electronic messages. The group, which has long had a presence in St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg, Florida! Then promoted Russian views on its website, social media accounts, and radio stations. 4 Americans face charges that they have conspired to have other U.S. citizens act as illegal agents of the Russian government. All 4 of them are current or former members of the African People's Socialist Party, an organization promoting Black Power. 3 are also member of the Uhuru movement, the party's activist arm, based in St. Petersburg and St. Louis. Man, that's crazy. And then realize things had gotten to that level of overt association. Hoteps? Yeah, who you might notice are far right. Just saying. Just saying. Most people really don't need that much money to be paid. To be paid. If you're already politically shiftless, disaffected, and in a lot of cases kind of mentally ill, it doesn't take that much money to convince you to be, an agent for a propaganda wing. There's a thing these fashy Russian types talked about with the Soviet Union, the "we were respected" bit. Yeah, this is like Fascism 101, a feeling of loss and emasculation that your nation, your people, your Volk used to be powerful, but now they are not. They are in a weakened state because of conspirators, both domestic and foreign, but through rallying behind a strong man, you can reclaim national glory. This is like, it's literally like 101, extremely basic fascism. It's like template, it's textbook. You get it with the Soviet Union, you get it with the Russian Empire, you get it with the American MAGA, but you get it everywhere, and it's always the same shit. The same obsession with reimagining the past as like a perfect template for how society is meant to run because it was a more reactionary time. The same like hearkening to greater national and personal power. Maupin spoke at the press conference for this. Well, it's not a conspiracy to claim that Caleb Maupin is also a Russian agent, considering he was literally on RT's payroll. It's not like that one's not. I don't think that's too conspiratorial, personally. Speaking of big view numbers, my God, 301 views 21 hours ago. Caleb Maupin at Hands Off Uhuru press conference, first day of Tampa trial. What matters is that they're having fun. Free the Uhuru 3. Good luck. Volk is pronounced Volk, not Volk. Yeah, I know. I just think it's funny. You can't be funny with Germans. The laughing hour has not yet begun. Wie scheduled this? You know, South Germans can be fun. Not Bavarians anymore, now that Bavaria is just like, you know, AFD Central. Zippupenfarten has commenced. Yeah, but they don't even think that's funny. If you talk about Zippupenfarten to a German, they'll be like, yes? Why, do you need to go? They're oblivious. Never tell a German see you later. Worst mistake I ever made.